Ethan's life had never been exciting. Every day was the same. Wake up in his small cabin aboard Station Orion, grab a cup of recycled coffee, and head to the maintenance deck to fix whatever the automated systems had broken that day. He had been a maintenance technician for 5 years, and he liked the predictability of it. Machines broke. He fixed them. That was his world. He leaned over a panel that had been sparking for the past hour. The station's central energy core hummed around him. Sparks danced in the air as he tightened a loose connector. Another day, another short circuit, he muttered, wiping sweat from his forehead. Ethan knew most of the station's crew ignored him. He was not a scientist, not a security officer, not an explorer. He was just the guy who made sure everyone else could do their jobs. Sometimes he wondered if anyone would even notice if he disappeared for a week. As he finished the repair, a strange sound caught his attention, a soft musical chime. It wasn't coming from the station's alarms or automated systems. It was alive. Curious, Ethan followed the sound down a narrow maintenance corridor. The hum seemed to vibrate against his chest. That's when he saw her. A small, glowing figure darted between the support beams. Her skin shimmered in shifting shades of blue and violet, and tiny streaks of light ran along her arms like living circuits. Ethan froze. Hello? He called softly, not wanting to scare her. The figure paused and tilted her head. Large, luminous eyes blinked at him. She was no taller than a human child, but moved with unusual grace. Then, before he could react, further, she leapt toward him with a startling speed and sank her teeth into his forearm. Ethan yelped, stumbling back. Pain shot through him, but it was more startling than harmful. "Hey! What are you doing?" The small creature giggled, a sound like wind chimes, and jumped back. Her bite didn't break skin, but it left a tingling warmth behind. Ethan looked at his arm, confused and panicked. Before he could react further, a larger figure appeared behind the little one. A woman, taller than most humans, with the same glowing skin and patterned lights that shifted with every movement. Her eyes were sharp and intelligent, and she moved with authority. She spoke in a language Ethan didn't understand, but her tone was firm. Then, surprisingly, she switched to Basic, one of the universal space languages. You bit him," the woman said. Her voice was strong but calm. "Yes, that is correct. And now he is hers." Ethan blinked. "Wait. What?" The woman, who must have been the child's mother, stepped closer. "He is her mate. By our customs, a bond has been made." Ethan laughed nervously, hoping this was some kind of joke. "Mate? You mean, like, seriously? I just got bitten by a kid." The woman's eyes did not laugh. "She chose you. She is mature for her age. The bite is the declaration. You are now bonded." Ethan's head spun. "Bonded? Look, I'm just a maintenance guy. I fix air vents and energy panels. I'm not—" "Does not matter," the woman interrupted. "Her species values courage, adaptability, and honesty. You have shown these qualities." Ethan looked down at his greasy hands. The same hands that had struggled to tighten a circuit just moments before. "Courage? I fixed a power panel. That's supposed to be courage now?" The woman's face softened slightly, but her voice stayed firm. "It is not only the act. It is your reaction. You did not flee, did not harm her. You observed and adapted. That is human courage." Ethan swallowed. I don't know what to say." The small girl tugged at the woman's hand and pointed at Ethan. "Mate," she said, repeating the word as though it were magic. I'm not sure I understand your customs," Ethan admitted. He rubbed his arm where she had bitten him, still tingling. "I don't even know what I'm supposed to do now." The woman, who introduced herself as Saria, smiled slightly. "You will learn. It is part of our culture. We take care of each other. We teach. You will adapt." Ethan exhaled slowly, trying to make sense of it. "So, I'm, like, stuck now?" In a way, yes, Saria said gently. But you will find it rewarding. Rewarding. Ethan repeated the word in his head. He wasn't sure if she meant it in the romantic sense or in the sense of survival. Either way, he had never been so confused in his life. The little alien. Leary hopped onto his shoulder, her bioluminescent patterns flickering. Ethan froze for a second, then carefully allowed her to perch there. She was surprisingly light. Okay, he muttered. This is happening. I guess I'm a bonded maintenance guy now. Saria nodded. Good. You will begin training tomorrow. You must understand our customs, our language, and our rules. This is necessary for your survival and her growth. Training? Ethan said, raising an eyebrow. I just fix machines. Now I have to learn alien culture? Yes. And more, Saria replied. You will need to understand respect, trust, and defense. Our galaxy is not always safe. Ethan felt his stomach tighten. He had always thought his life was simple. He had been happy with his routines, with his small cabin, and his quiet meals alone. But suddenly, everything had changed. He was no longer just a maintenance worker. He was something else. Something bigger than he had ever imagined. For the rest of the day, Ethan tried to return to his duties, but his mind kept drifting to the little girl and her mother. He imagined what his life would be like if he refused. Could he? Could he really ignore this bond without causing trouble? He knew he could not. Saria's species did not negotiate easily when it came to bonds. By evening, Ethan found himself sitting alone in his cabin, trying to process everything. He looked at the tools he kept neatly arranged on his workbench. They were familiar, comforting. Nothing in them suggested he was ready for interstellar bonds and alien politics. But they reminded him of who he was, a man who could fix things. Maybe that skill would help him after all. The next morning, Saria arrived at his cabin early, as promised. Leary danced around her mother's feet, glowing brighter than ever. Today, you learn, Saria said, and do not fear. You have survived. The first challenge. That is already more than many humans would do, Ethan groaned. Challenge? I haven't even started. Yesterday I got bitten by a kid. Saria's eyes twinkled. She is not a child in the human sense. She is young but fully capable. You will learn patience. You will learn courage. You will learn respect. They walked together to a training area on the station, a wide room filled with holographic panels, alien devices, and a few curious human crew members watching from a distance. Ethan's heart raced. This was not maintenance work. This was something else entirely. First lesson, Saria said. Understanding her species. Observe her patterns, her movements, her communication. Then you will respond appropriately. Misunderstanding can cause offense. Ethan nodded, trying to appear confident while internally panicking. He studied Leary as she twirled and flickered her lights in patterns he didn't understand. Her movements were quick, graceful, and completely unpredictable. Human perception is slow, Saria explained. You must adjust. Anticipate, but do not force. Allow her to teach you. Ethan took a deep breath. He had fixed 1,000 systems, but he had never adapted to something so alive and unpredictable. And yet he felt a strange excitement. Maybe, just maybe, this was the adventure he had been missing. By the end of the day, Ethan had learned to respond to some of Leary's gestures, and he even managed to make her laugh with a small trick involving one of the station's maintenance, drones. Saria watched silently, nodding occasionally. Progress. You are learning faster than expected. Ethan wiped his brow and sat down. He was tired, overwhelmed, and a little afraid. But he also felt proud. He, just a maintenance guy, had survived the first day of alien bonding. He had made Leary laugh, and he had earned a nod from her mother. As he returned to his cabin that night, Ethan realized something important. His life had changed forever. He wasn't just fixing machines anymore. He was part of something bigger, something extraordinary, and somewhere deep inside, he was ready for it. Little did he know, this was only the beginning. The next morning, Ethan woke up with a stiff neck and sore arms. The previous day's lessons had been exhausting. Who knew that trying to interpret a small, glowing alien's gestures could be more tiring than fixing a station's energy core under emergency conditions? He stretched, grimacing as his muscles protested, and grabbed a quick breakfast from the station's cafeteria. Leary was already there, sitting cross-legged on a chair, her patterns flickering in gentle waves of violet and blue. She smiled at him, showing sharp, tiny teeth that looked harmless, but made him shiver slightly. "Ready for today?" she asked, her voice light and musical. Ethan swallowed. "I think so, but I'm still not sure what I'm supposed to do." Sarya appeared behind Leary, her presence calm but commanding. "You adapt, Ethan. Observe, listen, and respond. Today we teach you language and customs. Understanding these is essential. Missteps can be dangerous even if unintentional." Ethan nodded, trying to hide his nerves. He had never been good with languages. He could repair machines without instructions, but learning an alien language? That was new territory. Sarya guided him to a large chamber in the station's lower decks. The walls were covered with holographic panels, displaying symbols, shapes, and moving patterns. Ethan blinked. He had fixed holographic consoles before, but this was different. This was alive, interactive. "This is your first lesson," Sarya said. "Communication. Not just words, but signals, gestures, and light patterns. Our species uses many layers. You must learn all of them." Ethan swallowed and looked at Leary. She tilted her head and flicked her hands, sending streaks of light into the air. The lights moved in patterns he had never seen. He stared, trying to make sense of them. "Observe," Sarya instructed. "Do not speak until you understand." Ethan nodded again, feeling like a student on the first day of school. Except this: school was alien, and the teacher's patience was measured in centuries. Leary began moving faster now, her gestures a blur of glowing lines. Ethan squinted, trying to follow. He noticed certain patterns repeated, like a rhythm hidden in chaos. Slowly, he matched her movements with his hands, copying her gestures exactly. Leary's eyes widened in surprise, and a soft giggle escaped her. Sarya nodded approvingly. "You learn quickly. Humans have adaptability. It is why your species survives. In many environments," Ethan laughed nervously. "I survive mostly by avoiding danger and fixing broken machines." "You survive by learning," Sarya corrected. "Adaptability is a form of strength. Do not underestimate yourself." The morning continued with lessons in gestures, lights, and basic phrases. Ethan stumbled, mispronounced words, and accidentally mimicked Leary's patterns in the wrong order. Each mistake caused her to flicker her lights in rapid sequences, a soundless laughter that startled him. By midday, Ethan felt his brain buzzing. He had learned only a fraction of the gestures, but Leary seemed pleased, and Sarya nodded more often. For the first time, Ethan felt a spark of pride. He was a maintenance guy, yes, but he was learning something no human on the station had tried before. After a brief lunch, Sarya introduced the next stage: customs and respect rituals. She led Ethan and Leary to a small garden module filled with alien plants. The plants were luminescent, their leaves curling and uncurling as if breathing. "Observe and interact carefully," Sarya instructed. "Our species values respect for nature and life. You will learn proper handling. Offense to life forms is considered dishonorable." Ethan approached cautiously. The plants shimmered under his hands, and he realized they were sensitive to touch. A wrong movement could harm them or offend Leary. He followed her lead, mimicking her gentle touches, bowing slightly when she paused, and waiting for her approval before moving. "Good," Sarya said. "Humans often rush. You take your time. That is wise." Leary darted forward suddenly, flicking her hands at a small floating orb that hovered above a flower. The orb spun rapidly, and a faint glow enveloped it. Ethan hesitated, unsure what to do, but instinct kicked in. He adjusted the orb gently, following the pattern Leary had created. The orb stabilized and Leary clapped her tiny hands, glowing brighter with joy. Ethan laughed softly, relief flooding him. Okay, I think I'm starting to get this. Perhaps, Saria said, her voice calm but firm. But understanding is more than imitation. You must internalize it. Respect and patience are not learned quickly. The afternoon brought even more challenges. Saria introduced him to simple alien defense techniques. Not violent, but meant to protect oneself and the young. Ethan had never held anything resembling a weapon, let alone tried a defensive stance with an alien rhythm. He stumbled several times, nearly tripping over his own feet. Do not worry, Saria said, sensing his frustration. Coordination comes with time. You will improve. Leary giggled, showing that she enjoyed the human's awkwardness. But even her laughter was gentle, never mocking. Ethan realized that despite the strangeness of his new life, he was not alone. He had allies, even if they were entirely alien, hours past. Ethan's hands were sore, his brain tired from constant adaptation, and his body ached from holding positions he never knew existed. Yet he felt exhilaration. He had survived the day, learned parts of a new language, practiced alien gestures, and even managed a few defense stances. He was learning to live in a world far beyond air vents and energy cores. Saria's voice broke. His thoughts. Now, final lesson for today. Observation. Life is more than patterns and gestures. Observe, anticipate, and act when necessary. Humans are slow to notice, but your species has potential. Watch closely. She directed him to a series of holographic simulations. Small alien creatures moved in unpredictable patterns, some benign, others subtly dangerous. Ethan had to track their motions, predict their actions, and respond correctly. It was a game of patience and focus unlike anything he had ever done. At first, he failed repeatedly. Creatures slipped past his attention, lights flashed incorrectly, and alarms went off. He felt like a failure, but Leary perched beside him, her glowing patterns a steady encouragement. Try again, she said. Ethan exhaled and focused. He slowed his breathing, watched the patterns carefully, and adjusted his reactions. Slowly, the creatures began to respond to his actions as intended. His successes were small but noticeable, and a faint smile crept across his face. Saria stepped forward, her hands clasped. You are learning. Progress is slow but steady. This is human courage and adaptability. You have surprised me. Ethan nodded, exhausted but proud. For the first time, he felt he had achieved something extraordinary. He had survived alien customs, learned part of a new language, and navigated unfamiliar social rules. As they returned to the station's living quarters, Ethan's mind raced with questions. How would he manage daily life? How would the other humans react to his bond with Leary and her mother? And what challenges would await him next? That night, as he lay in his small cabin, Ethan thought about the day. He had always believed his life was simple, ordinary, but the bite, the declaration, and the first lessons had changed everything. He was no longer just a maintenance guy. He was part of something bigger, something interstellar and extraordinary. Leary's small glow floated. Outside his window, he smiled, realizing that despite the exhaustion, he felt a strange joy. He had a purpose now beyond fixing broken systems. He had a bond to protect, a culture to understand, and a new life to navigate. Ethan drifted to sleep, the gentle hum of the station around him, and for the first time in years, he felt excitement for the future. Tomorrow would bring new lessons, new challenges, and perhaps the first real test of his courage. But for now, he allowed himself a quiet satisfaction. He had survived the first stage of the bond, and he had learned that humans could rise to meet even the most alien of challenges. And deep down, Ethan knew that this was only the beginning. Ethan had spent the past few days learning alien language, gestures, and customs. Each day left him exhausted but determined. He could now communicate basic ideas with Leary and even anticipate some of her movements. Saria had expressed cautious approval. saying he was progressing faster than expected. Yet, deep down, Ethan felt the stirrings of unease. For all his lessons, he still felt like an ordinary human in an extraordinary situation. Maintenance panels, power conduits, and life support systems were predictable. Alien customs, unpredictable. Light patterns and cultural rituals were not. And now Sarya hinted at a new kind of lesson, one that would test not only his mind, but his courage. It began with a warning. Sarya arrived early, her luminescent patterns flickering in urgent sequences. Leary ran ahead, dancing in excited motions, but Sarya's eyes were serious. "There is a matter," she said. "A rival faction has taken interest in Leary. They do not approve of her bond. They may attempt to remove her." Ethan froze. "Remove her? You mean kidnap?" "Yes," Sarya replied calmly. "Their motives are political. They wish to use her to influence her family. You must be prepared." Ethan's stomach dropped. He had never imagined this part of alien culture. He had survived lessons, gestures, and strange customs. But now, real danger was involved. I don't know if I'm ready for that," Ethan admitted. "You are ready," Sarya said firmly. "Humans have a hidden strength, courage, ingenuity, and adaptability. You have shown these. Now you must act. Survival is part of the bond." For the first time, Ethan truly felt the weight of responsibility. Leary was not just a bright, glowing child. She was someone he had to protect. Sarya trusted him. And now, a rival faction wanted to exploit her. The training began immediately. Sarya led Ethan to a large simulator room filled with holographic enemy ships and defense grids. "Observation and improvisation," she instructed. "These are key. Humans excel when others underestimate them. You will learn quickly or you will fail." Ethan hesitated. He had fixed machines under pressure, but this was different. He would have to act decisively, think creatively, and anticipate. Alien strategies, all at the same time. The holographic enemies appeared. Small scout ships zipped through the room, firing beams at moving targets. Ethan ducked instinctively, then Sarya's voice cut through. "Do not only react, observe, predict, adapt." Ethan took a deep breath. He studied the patterns of the ships, noticing how their movements repeated in cycles. Slowly, he adjusted the simulator controls, redirecting defensive turrets to intercept them. He improvised paths for the holographic drones, using unexpected angles to block the attacks. Leary giggled, floating nearby as she watched him manipulate the controls. Ethan felt a strange thrill. For the first time, he realized humans could compete with alien technology, not with superior firepower, but with clever thinking. Hours passed. Ethan's strategies became sharper, his movements faster. Even Sarya seemed impressed. "You are learning more quickly than I anticipated," she said. "Your species' ingenuity is remarkable." Just as he started to feel confident, the simulator changed. Larger ships appeared, faster and more aggressive. They adapted to his tactics, forcing him to think even harder. Sweat dripped from his forehead as he reconfigured defenses on the fly, anticipating every movement. "You can do this," Leary whispered. Her glowing eyes focused on him. Ethan felt a surge of determination. He could not fail. Not for her, not for Sarya, not for himself. Using a combination of human logic and alien strategy, he redirected the enemy ships into a trap, forcing them to collide harmlessly. The simulator announced victory. Ethan slumped in his chair, gasping for breath. He had done it. For the first time, he realized humans were not helpless. Even a maintenance guy could be a strategist in a universe full of advanced alien species. But Sarya's expression remained serious. This was training. Real threats are less forgiving. You must always be prepared. Ethan nodded. "I understand, but how often do these attacks happen?" "Rarely," Sarya said. "But rare does not mean impossible. The rival faction watches closely. They may act soon." The warning came sooner than expected. Later that night, Ethan was returning from his cabin when the station alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the hallways. Saria and Leary were already at the docking bay. "They are here," Saria said. Her voice was calm but urgent. "They seek Leary. You must act." Ethan's heart raced. He had prepared, but nothing could fully prepare him for real danger. He glanced at Leary, who looked at him with trust and excitement. She had faith in him. He could not fail. The rival faction's boarding craft had breached the station. Alien shapes moved rapidly, their weapons pointed at civilians and crew. Ethan's first instinct was fear, but he pushed it aside. He remembered the simulator, the lessons, and the trust placed in him. "Stay close," Saria whispered. "Follow my lead. Protect her." Ethan nodded. He had never felt so alive. His training as a maintenance guy seemed trivial now. He had to improvise, adapt, and survive. Using station maintenance tunnels, Ethan led Leary and a small group of civilians away from danger. He remembered the layout of the station intimately, every conduit, ladder, and hidden path. The humans and aliens followed, surprised at his confidence. "Ethan, how do you know this place so well?" one crew member asked. "I maintain it," Ethan replied, ducking behind a support beam. They reached a junction where the intruders blocked the path. Ethan froze, heart pounding. But then an idea sparked. He noticed a nearby panel controlling a series of energy vents. With a few quick movements, he rerouted the vents, creating a wall of superheated steam that forced the intruders to retreat temporarily. Leary clapped her hands, glowing brightly. Saria's eyes widened in surprise and approval. "Clever," she said. "You use what is around you. That is human strength." Ethan realized it was true. Humans did not always rely on brute force. They adapted, improvised, and survived. His mind raced, looking for the next solution. Using the station's maintenance lifts, he created a diversion, sending the intruders in one direction while guiding the civilians and Leary toward safety. Each action required split-second thinking, precise timing, and trust in instincts. Hours seemed to pass in minutes. Finally, the boarding party was driven back to their ship, forced to retreat by the combined efforts of the station crew, Saria's species, and Ethan's improvisation. When the alarms finally stopped, Ethan sank to the floor, exhausted. Leary climbed onto his shoulder, her glowing patterns flickering softly. "You did it," she whispered. Ethan laughed weakly. "We did it. Together." Saria approached, her eyes shining with approval. "You have shown courage, ingenuity, and adaptability. You are no longer just a maintenance guy. You are part of our world, Ethan. You have earned our respect." Ethan smiled, though exhaustion weighed heavily on him. For the first time, he truly understood what Saria had meant when she spoke of human potential. Humans were underestimated. Yes, but even an ordinary human could rise to extraordinary challenges when trust and courage demanded it. That night, as he returned to his cabin, Ethan sat quietly, reflecting on the day's events. He had faced real danger, protected lives, and discovered hidden reserves of courage and intelligence. The universe was bigger than he had imagined, and humans were stronger than anyone, including himself, had realized. He looked at Leary, sleeping. Nearby in a small glowing cocoon of bioluminescent energy, she trusted him completely. Her mother trusted him completely. And Ethan realized that trust was not given lightly. It was earned through courage, adaptability, and perseverance. For the first time in his life, Ethan felt a deep sense of purpose. He was no longer just a man who fixed machines. He was a protector, a strategist, a human capable of rising to challenges no other species expected him to face. And deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers, wonders, and unknown civilizations. But humans, with their ingenuity and courage, could thrive anywhere, even where the most powerful alien species doubted them. Ethan closed his eyes, exhaustion mixing with exhilaration. He had survived the first real test. He had learned that humans were stronger than they appeared. And tomorrow, He would face new lessons, new adventures, and perhaps the next challenge that would push him even further. But for tonight, he allowed himself a moment of quiet pride. He was just a maintenance guy until now, and now he was extraordinary. Ethan awoke early, before the station's artificial sun had fully risen. The events of the previous night still weighed heavily on him. He had faced real danger, protected lives, and proven that even a human could rise to challenges the galaxy did not expect. Yet, as he stretched and rubbed his sore arms, he realized that the real test was not over. Sarya and Leary waited in the training chamber, their glowing forms illuminating the room with soft, shifting light. Sarya's expression was calm, but there was intensity in her gaze. Leary bounced on her feet, flickering in vibrant patterns that betrayed her excitement. "Today," Sarya said, her voice steady, "you will face your first full-scale mission. Observation, strategy, and improvisation will be tested. Failure is not acceptable." Ethan swallowed. He had survived simulations and real danger before, but this felt larger, more important. The stakes were clear. The rival faction had not given up. If he failed, Leary's safety, and perhaps the station, would be at risk. Sarya guided him to a large command room filled with holographic maps, alien devices, and several human crew members. "This mission will require teamwork," she explained. "Humans and aliens working together. You must coordinate, you must improvise, and you must lead." Ethan's heart raced. Led? He was a maintenance guy, not a commander. Yet, as he looked at the expectant faces around him, humans nervous but trusting, aliens calm but alert, he realized he had no choice. He would rise to the moment. The mission began with intelligence briefings, holographic screens displayed, the layout of the rival faction's small fleet nearby, highlighting key targets, their communications hub and supply ships. Sarya explained that a direct attack was impossible. The enemy was well armed and trained. Success required creativity and unexpected strategies. Ethan studied the holograms carefully. He thought of the station's layout, the maintenance tunnels. He knew better than anyone, and the tools at his disposal. Slowly, a plan began to form in his mind. "We'll use diversion," he said. "We can draw part of their fleet away using decoy drones. Then, with the remaining forces, we target the supply ships. We can disrupt their logistics without engaging. Their main firepower." Sarya's eyes glimmered. "Interesting. Most would choose brute force. Your approach is human." Ethan felt a small surge of pride. Humans were underestimated, yes, but their strength lay in creativity and adaptability. He knew that if he executed his plan correctly, they could succeed. The crew moved quickly. Ethan coordinated humans operating drones with aliens controlling. Energy shields and holographic decoys. Every step required precise timing. Ethan issued instructions, improvised when something failed, and adapted to unexpected changes. The first part of the mission began. Decoy drones were launched, creating a convincing illusion of a full-scale attack. The rival faction responded immediately, sending a portion of their fleet to intercept. Ethan held his breath, watching the holographic feeds, adjusting paths and shields in real time. "It's working," Leary whispered, her patterns glowing, brighter in excitement. "Yes," Ethan replied, his voice steady despite the tension. "Keep watching. We're not done yet." The second phase required them to target the supply ships. Ethan directed the team to approach from unexpected angles, using the shadows of nearby asteroids and station debris to remain hidden. Alien energy fields were synchronized with human drones to disable communications and defenses without damaging the ships. For the first time, Ethan realized the true power of human ingenuity combined with alien technology. The humans improvised solutions to problems the aliens had not anticipated. The aliens provided precision and efficiency that humans could never achieve alone. Together, they were unstoppable. But the rival faction was clever. They adapted, sending reinforcements to intercept the mission team. Ethan felt the familiar surge of fear, but pushed it aside. He remembered Sarya's lessons: observe, anticipate, adapt. He quickly redirected drones to create additional decoys, while aliens used energy fields to protect the supply ships. The enemy ships collided with decoys, causing temporary confusion and opening a narrow window for the mission team to act. Ethan seized the opportunity. He directed the team to secure the supply ships, extract critical resources, and disable the enemy's logistics systems. It was intense. Alarms blared, energy fields flashed, and holographic displays filled the room with motion and chaos. Ethan's hands moved rapidly, issuing orders, adjusting shields, and coordinating drones. Every decision mattered. One mistake could compromise the mission, or worse, endanger lives. Hours passed like minutes. Sweat dripped from Ethan's brow. His muscles ached, and his mind raced constantly. Yet, he remained focused. He had to succeed, not just for the humans, not just for the aliens, but for Leary. Finally, the last enemy supply ship was secured. Communications were disrupted, and the remaining fleet, confused and divided, retreated to regroup. Ethan slumped in his chair, exhausted, but triumphant. Saria approached, her glowing patterns flickering softly. You have done more than survive. You have led, adapted, and improvised. You have shown true human strength. Ethan blinked, still trying to process it. I just did what made sense. I didn't think I was extraordinary. You are, Saria said firmly. Humans are underestimated, but your species thrives where others fail. Creativity, courage, adaptability, these are human strengths. You have shown all three today. Leary bounced onto his shoulder, her glow bright and warm. Mate, you did it! She exclaimed, flickering in joy. Ethan laughed, a mix of relief and pride. For the first time, he truly felt that he had accomplished something incredible. He had not only survived alien lessons and dangerous threats, but had led a complex operation, using human ingenuity and alien technology together. As the team celebrated, Ethan realized something important. He had been just a maintenance guy, someone who fixed broken systems and avoided attention. Now, he was a strategist, a leader, a protector. His skills, his instincts, and his creativity had made the impossible possible. That evening, back in his cabin, Ethan reflected on the day. He looked at his tools, still neatly arranged on the workbench, and smiled. They had been the instruments of survival once, but now he understood that the human mind was the ultimate tool. Creativity, adaptability, and courage could overcome even the most advanced alien technology. Saria entered quietly, her glowing patterns gentle. You have done well, Ethan, but tomorrow there will be new lessons. Greater challenges await. The galaxy is vast and humans must be ready. Ethan nodded. He had learned that being human was not about physical strength alone. It was about using every resource, every observation, every instinct to survive and protect. It was about thinking differently, adapting quickly, and acting decisively. Leary crawled onto his lap, her glow flickering softly. Mate, you're amazing, she whispered. Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth he had never experienced before. He realized that the bond with Leary was no longer just cultural. It was trust, friendship, and responsibility. He would protect her, guide her, and grow alongside her in this extraordinary universe. For the first time, Ethan understood the full meaning of Saria's words. Humans were underestimated, yes, but they were capable of greatness beyond imagination. One human, just a maintenance guy, could change the outcome of a mission, inspire trust, and survive where others might fail. As he drifted to sleep that night, Ethan's thoughts were a mixture of exhaustion, pride, and anticipation. He had faced real danger, led a successful operation, and discovered the strength within himself. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and threats alike. Humans, with their ingenuity, courage, and adaptability, had a place among the stars. And Ethan, just a maintenance guy turned strategist, was living proof. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight he allowed himself a quiet moment of pride. He had proven that humans could rise to any occasion, no matter how impossible it seemed. And as he looked at Leary sleeping nearby, glowing softly in the dim light, he knew one truth. Humans were extraordinary. No one had expected it. Not the rival faction, not the aliens, not even Ethan himself, but the stars had just begun to see what humans were capable of, and Ethan was ready for whatever came next. Ethan woke with a sense of purpose, unlike any he had felt before. The previous days had tested him, stretched him, and shown him the hidden potential within himself. He had survived alien lessons, faced intruders, and led a complex mission combining human ingenuity with alien technology. But now, Sarya had promised a final challenge, one that would cement his role, his bond, and the respect of those around him. Leary bounced in front of him, her glowing patterns bright with excitement. "Mate, today is important," Ethan smiled, tiredly. "I know, kid. I think I'm ready. Mostly." Sarya entered, her calm glow a stark contrast to the urgency in her eyes. "Today, you face the rival faction. They have regrouped. This is not a simulation. This is real. You will lead, adapt, and protect. Humans will prove their worth." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. He was no longer just a maintenance guy. He was a protector, a strategist, and now the line between human and alien potential blurred in his hands. The station's command deck was alive with activity. Humans and aliens worked side by side, monitoring enemy movements and preparing defensive measures. Ethan stood at the center, coordinating both species. Every human he directed, every alien he worked with, relied on his decisions. His heart raced, but he focused as he had in the simulator, as he had during the last real threat. The rival faction's ships appeared on the sensors. Their fleet was larger than before, more organized and heavily armed. Ethan felt a moment of doubt, but he pushed it aside. He remembered Sarya's words. Observe, adapt, improvise. That had kept him alive before. It would keep him alive now. Phase 1, Ethan instructed, pointing at the holographic display. We draw part of their fleet into the decoy corridor. Human drones will appear as a full attack. Aliens will shield the civilians and key systems. Timing is critical. Follow my lead, the fleet responded. As predicted, a portion of their ships chased the decoys, leaving the supply vessels exposed. Ethan's pulse quickened. He adjusted the trajectories of the drones, directing them in subtle, unexpected ways. The enemy adapted, but he anticipated their moves, improvising instantly. Good, Sarya whispered to him. Human ingenuity is unmatched when combined with calm observation. The next phase required precision. Ethan directed his team to strike the enemy supply ships, using energy fields to disable weapons and communications without destroying them. Every decision required split-second timing. Every action could determine success or failure. Ethan's hands moved rapidly, coordinating drones, energy shields, and alien defense mechanisms. Leary hovered nearby, her glowing patterns providing quiet encouragement. She trusted him completely, and that trust fueled his determination. The enemy attempted a counterattack. Larger ships surrounded the team, ready to crush any interference. Ethan's mind raced. He noticed a maintenance tunnel nearby, an old, narrow path that the intruders could not easily access. With a few quick commands, he rerouted a small alien squad through it, creating a flanking maneuver that disrupted the enemy's formation. Sarya's eyes widened in approval. Unexpected, clever. Ethan felt a surge of confidence. Humans were underestimated, yes, but their strength lay not in brute force, but in thinking differently. He adapted again, combining alien precision and human improvisation to outmaneuver the enemy. Hours of intense strategy, split-second decisions, and rapid improvisation passed. The rival faction's fleet, frustrated and disorganized, began to retreat. Ethan guided the remaining drones to block escape paths, ensuring maximum disruption. Finally, the enemy ships withdrew, leaving the station safe. Ethan slumped in his chair, exhausted but exhilarated. Leary floated over, glowing brightly. "Mate! You did it! You're amazing!" Ethan laughed weakly. "We did it, together." Sarya approached, her luminescent patterns glowing proudly. "You have proven humans are more than expected. Courage, creativity, adaptability. You possess them all. You are extraordinary." Ethan shook his head in disbelief. "I'm just me, a maintenance guy who fixes broken things." "No," Sarya said firmly. "You are human. That is more than enough." The station erupted with quiet celebration. Humans and aliens alike recognized Ethan's leadership, his ingenuity, and his courage. He had survived the impossible, protected Leary, and demonstrated that humans could stand shoulder to shoulder with any species in the galaxy. Later, in a quiet corner of the station, Sarya and Leary joined Ethan. Leary perched on his shoulder, her glow soft and comforting. "You are our mate," she whispered. "Our family." Ethan's throat tightened. He had never felt such profound responsibility, trust, and connection. The bond was no longer symbolic. It was real, living, and mutual. He looked at Sarya, who nodded in quiet approval. "You have earned our respect," Sarya said. "And more, you have earned your place with us, not as a guest, but as a family." Ethan smiled, the weight of the past days settling into a deep sense of fulfillment. He had started as a simple maintenance guy, content with predictable routines. Now he was part of something extraordinary, a human recognized for courage, ingenuity, and adaptability, trusted to protect and lead in an alien world. That night, Ethan walked through the station corridors, observing humans and aliens working side by side. He saw smiles, laughter, and a sense of accomplishment. He realized that humanity's strength was not in dominating others, but in connecting, adapting, and rising to challenges that others deemed impossible. He returned to his cabin, tired but content. Leary curled up beside him, her soft glow casting gentle light across the room. Ethan reached out, stroking her tiny head. "You've changed my life," he whispered. "And I'll protect you no matter what." She blinked up at him, eyes glowing softly. "Mate," she said, her voice filled with trust and warmth. Ethan nodded, feeling a quiet pride. Humanity had been underestimated, yes, but one human, even a maintenance guy, had shown courage, adaptability, and ingenuity enough to protect a family, lead an interstellar mission, and earn the respect of an alien species. Sarya appeared at the door, her glowing patterns calm and soft. "The galaxy has watched today. Humans have proven their worth. Your actions will be remembered, and you have risen above expectations." Ethan smiled. I never imagined any of this. I just fixed machines. But now, I feel like I belong here. With you. With Leary. With everyone." "You do," Sarya said simply. "And you always will. Humans are underestimated, yes, but underestimated does not mean weak. You are strong, Ethan. You are extraordinary." Ethan looked at Leary and Sarya, feeling the full weight of the bond and the trust they had placed in him. He realized that life had changed forever, not just for him, but for humanity. Humans could survive, thrive, and even lead in ways the galaxy had never imagined. For the first time in years, Ethan felt true satisfaction. He had faced danger, adapted, improvised, and risen to every challenge. He was no longer just a maintenance guy. He was a protector, a strategist, a mate, and a human capable of extraordinary things. Outside, the stars of the galaxy shone brightly, endless and full of possibilities. Ethan knew that humanity had a place among them, not as observers, not as weaklings, but as equals capable of courage, creativity, and greatness. He closed his eyes, exhausted but proud. Leary nestled beside him, her glow a gentle reassurance. Saria stood quietly nearby, watching with a proud smile. The universe was vast, full of wonders and challenges. But Ethan had learned the ultimate truth. Humanity could rise to any occasion. Even a maintenance guy could change the course of events, protect the innocent, and earn respect across the stars. And with that thought, Ethan drifted to sleep, ready for whatever adventures awaited. He was human, and that was more than enough. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again.